Good evening, everyone. Pray all is well. Pray everyone's had a wonderful day. So, just getting a little situated, little situation. Hi, Sister Marilyn. How are you? Hi, Sister Jennifer. How are you? So, we are just getting. I pray that again, everyone had a blessed day. Today was a little challenging for me, but what I'm learning is that it's best to hold my tongue in certain situations and not, really speak on certain things. Or if I've said something on it, just to go ahead and just let it go. Because, when you begin to walk in certain paths and to do certain things, the enemy will always try to find ways to kind of get you off that point. So we not having that with him no more. We not even friends. So tonight we are back in our devotional that we're starting for the next couple of weeks. And it is Here I Am Responding When God Calls Your Name. Now, yesterday we just basically talked about some of the things that happens, some of the distractions that could happen, the things that we're going to do over the next, week and a half. So about identifying what, those things are, how you can clearly hear what God is saying to you. And it's fitting that tonight's topic is about distractions. Yes, it is. Like, distractions are everywhere in our day to day. And the enemy will definitely do all that he can do so that he can distract us and keep us bound and not really fully free to enjoy what God has for us. And so tonight's lesson, we're coming from Ephesians, the 6th chapter, and we're also coming from First Peter, the 5th chapter, and the 8th verse. I'm going to read both from the King James Version of them, and we're going to read those first, and then we're going to really get started into tonight's lesson. And reading Ephesians 6:12, and it says, "For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of the world, against spiritual wickedness in high places." And First Peter, the 5th chapter and the 8th verse, it says, "Be sober, be vigilant, because your adversary, the devil, as a roaring lion, walking about seeking whom he may devour." And when you think about, that's what he does. That's what he gets the pure joy out of, is seeking who he can destroy, seeking who he can, let me put it this way, seeking who he can get to destroy themselves. Because he can't physically touch us. He can't kill us. But his job is to get us to kill our own selves spiritually. And once we're spiritually dead, is in essence, we're physically dead, and emotionally dead. So therefore, he does things so that we can give up, so that he can never be, "Oh, well, you said I couldn't kill him, but I didn't do anything." Like I said before, he enjoys, doing what he does. And we have to get to that point where we enjoy serving God to the point where he is beneath us like he's supposed to be. Now, when we talk about how are we hearing when God is talking to us and when he's directing us, there's lots of voices and distraction competing for our attention. In a war for your soul, the noises blast their agendas to keep your ear for his voice obstructed. If you're eager to pursue what God has called you to do, or even looking to figure out what might be first, you have to cultivate the ability to tune out the noises and only hear God's voice. Now, this evening, we're going to talk about those distractions and those voices. And tomorrow, we'll be talking about how you can block those distractions, 3 key things that you can use to drown out those distractions so that you can hear God. But, tonight, we're going to talk about there's external distractions clamoring for our attention. And then there's internal voices calling for our ear. So you have to understand there's things in the world that's calling for us to pay attention and look and take our eye off the prize. So if the prize is right here, there's something, trying to pull our attention away from that. And then we have those internal voices that tries to talk to us to try to get us to go, not be listening. God could be telling us something, but then all of a sudden, the kids are acting up, or the telephone rings, or something's going on. The neighbors are having an argument. Something is going to always happen so that it can knock you off your path. That's what it does. That is what distractions are meant to do. They don't want you. The enemy, listen, Satan does not want you to fully be in your gift. He doesn't want you to fully, get to and execute the purpose that God has, because he knows once you have completely tuned him out, and once you're ignoring him, and once you are fully focused on God, he can't touch you in the manner that he wants to. He won't be able to distract you. Think about those bodybuilders. When they're doing those extreme bodybuilding and they're pulling cars and lifting the supergiant, their attention is laser focused. Because if their focus breaks just a minute, they're going to die. Because what's going to happen is that the thing is just going to fall down on them and crush them. So therefore, they let nothing, they train for years to get their point, their mind focused on one particular object. Like when you're speaking, what do they say? Focus on a single point in the room and just focus on that and to do so you don't get nervous. That is what we have to do as believers. We have to be so focused and central on God that nothing from the outside can interfere. So, of course, many say, oh, it's difficult, it's hard. No, it's not. It's a choice. And I'm a witness, and I'm a perfect example of why it's a choice to, not be laser focused. Because see, when I didn't do it, it was because I wanted to do something else. I wanted to be different. I wanted to change how I did things. I didn't want to be accountable. So therefore, I allowed myself to be led astray with my attention. Because I'm going to tell you, there was a point in my life that I am the person that will take the path of least resistance. I used to be that person. If it wasn't going to be too struggle, it wasn't going to be a big struggle, horrid. If it was going to be easy, I was going to take it. And then I realized it was a choice. I chose to be out of his will. I chose not to hear what he was saying. Did I have all these things going on around me? Yes. But when I wanted something, I knew how to tune those out. So therefore, why couldn't I put the same focus onto, what God wanted me to do versus what I wanted to do in the world? Again, that little pesky thing called free will. Needless to say, there's a lot to tune out. What we're going to discuss today is the most common noises. If we can get to learn to isolate the few that most people struggle with, then we can begin praying to the Holy Spirit to equip us to tune them out. So we're going to talk about 3 external distractions. The primary, the first one, the world and our culture. So if you watch the news, which I do not, if you watch the news, you know that anything and everything is going on under the sun. And it can be disheartening. It can be heartbreaking. It can be discouraging. It makes you not want to do what you need to do. However, we still have to be productive. Because see, worldly distractions basically have been in place since the beginning of time. Our culture provides many distractions and temptations, and it tempts us in many forms. There are 3 common, denominators to our struggles in the world. It is desire, self-promotion, and comparison. You desire something so that you want it so bad, so you go after something. So therefore, it becomes the object of your affection, the object of your attention. It becomes what you go after, what you seek after, what you're striving to get. And then once you fulfill that desire, there comes self-promotion. Because now you boasting up yourself, and it's not, and to see self-promotion and showing that you've done something, whatever, is two different things. Self-promotion is being prideful. Self-promotion is being like, I'm better than you and it doesn't matter, and I got this and I got that, and it's doing it to be detrimental. And then we have comparison. We can't be happy with what we have, whatever. We're comparing to see what Joe Blow or the Joneses or the Smiths and what they have. And so therefore we begin to covet the things of our neighbor. Because when we go back to desire, with desire comes pride. The need for validation, for power, for money. Again, self-promotion compels you to put yourself first because you feel like it is all about you, how you doing, when you doing. And so therefore it should revolve around you, and comparison steals our joy and our purpose by directing our sights onto others. The second common distraction that we all deal with is people. See, we allow people to significantly speak into and influence our lives. Like there are two common ways we allow this, and it's peer pressure and hurt from others. People will try to convince you to do something contrary to your moral compass, or even ask you to fudge the lines a bit. And see, sometimes because we're trying to keep them as friends, or we want to be at a part of the in crowd, you do it. So now, not only have you compromised who you are, you've now lost your witness, because they feel that if they can get you to compromise in that, they can get you to compromise in something else. And before you know it, it could end into a spiraling thing of despair because you've compromised that one time. Or you may do it once and then you may say, you know what, I'm never going to do this again. They'll never let you live it down. Oh, you did it that one time. You ain't that holy. You ain't that great. And they'll browbeat you with that, and in addition, when people hurt us, sometimes we withdraw into isolation, sin, or we test the boundaries. We need to be careful, about how we allow others to influence our life. Now, hurt is a big thing because hurt comes in many different formats, and it is not a simple thing to unpack. Hurt comes in a lot of, ways. But what I've learned about hurt is the person that hurt you is long gone living their lives. They're not worried about you. They're not even thinking about what they could have potentially done to you. They're going on living their best life. They're not thinking about you at all. And you're the one that's still wallowing in the pain, and you're upset. And that pain has turned into anger. Now it has festered into something that now you've just completely turned your back on people and everything, and your call and all of that. So we have to guard what God has given us. Our heart, our mind, our body, our soul. We have to guard that and not be so ample to let people in. Now, when I say not to let people in, I don't mean do like I would do and become just a hermit. Like I'm an introvert. Like I love to be at home and do nothing all day and sleep and not have to go out. That is me. I'm breaking that cycle. I'm getting better with getting out there. But coming from a history and a foundation of hurt and abuse, I have to be careful who I allow in my space, because I know one bad episode can send me spiraling back to that isolation that I put myself in for so long. So sometimes we do have to be very cautious about who we allow in our space, in our physical space, in our mental space, and in our spirit. We can't just let anything and everything. We have to guard that on all things. Now, the third distraction is, of course, the little grimy critter himself. Y'all can tell I have a strong dislike for him, right? Y'all can tell that. I'm glad. He gets on my utter nerves. And see, let me tell you what. I ain't mad at him. You know, I'm a little envious of him, and I know I'm going to get some inboxes on that when I say that. Let me explain why. He has such a passion for what he does that he doesn't get tired. He's unrelenting. He believes what he believes, how he believes it, and where he wants to believe it. And he is going to do anything and everything in his power to get you to believe the way he wants to believe. Because he loves what he does. He loves drama. He loves destruction. He loves confusion. So therefore, he is all sold out for the cause of destroying the kingdom. And we can't even get sold out for building it. So I got to respect him in his game. He loves what he do. What I'm working to do is to get my study, my prayer life, for myself to be so sold out to God that it doesn't matter what the enemy tries to throw at me, but because I know the God that I serve, the true and living God that I serve, is going to handle whatever it is, because I am living the purpose that I'm supposed to do. So that's what I want us to get to. I want us all to get to that, because when we all get to that complete sold out, we can tune him out and not even worried about him, and we're truly listening to God and allowing God to direct us, we will cause damage to the enemy. He won't be able to stand. He will be under us, beneath our feet, where he actually belongs, not torturing us. Again, he will always try to tempt us. His voice is everything contrary to God. And listen, anytime you think you start to come, say, well, maybe I should, arrest that thought, because that's the enemy trying to get you to compromise and walk away from what God has. That's what his job is. And he's really, really, really great at it. Real great at it, by the way. So let's talk about those internal voices that we hear internally. So what we did earlier was we discussed the distractions, basically the things that are around us that tries to get our eye off of the main focal point. What we're going to discuss is we're going to discuss the three internal voices that happens within us. And with these internal voices, they tend to block God's voice. They obstruct the hearing. So when God is talking to us, we can't hear it because we have other things up in our ears and in our mind and in our heart and spirit. And so we can't hear him. That connection is obstructed. Now, the first and foremost internal voice that we all deal with on a consistent basis at times is fear. Whatever your struggle, there is a connection to a deep-seated fear. In fact, because fear is so deeply ingrained into flesh, it is the root of all sin. There's a fear of failure, of leaving what's comfortable, of the unknown, and of others. And I'm going to add a couple of more into that. The fear of stability. And, we talk about the fear of success all the time. We talk about the fear of, not having things common. But I want us to talk about the fear of stability. Because some of us have been in chaos for so long. It's common, it's comfortable, it's what we know. And maybe that's not any of you, but I know for me, that was a very prominent, fear that I had for a very long time. Because all of my life, everything was chaos. My marriage was chaos. Things were chaos. So it was something that was comfortable. So when it got time for me to get out there and to be on my own and to take care of me and to nurture me and to do all of those other things, I decided I went back to what was comfortable. Because see, fear of stability is meaning that you're going to be accountable. If you become stable in all things, in your heart, your mind, and your soul, there comes accountability with that stability. There comes responsibility with that stability. So therefore, we like to stick into the, fear of the unknown and just say, how I was raised and what I brought up. You have to arrest fear, because as long as you dwell in fear, it's a stop gate right there. He ain't even talking to you. It's just like, this is what you. That's what it sounds like. Like when little kids, when they don't want to hear you no more and they put your fingers, that's what happens when you develop fear. Because when you develop fear, all you're doing to God is you're throwing a temper tantrum and you're doing this. That's what you're doing. I did it for a long time. So don't beat yourself up, but know that that's what you're doing and we need to get you out of that. The second internal voice is doubt. Whenever you doubt yourself or God, it is no small thing. See, in fact, doubt is a troubling thing that leads to sin, whether you doubt yourself or God. Because see, what doubt does is God will say you're called, but because of whatever you've gone through, whatever you've done, you doubt the ability that you have, that God has said you have. You doubt that you are who God says you are. So therefore, because you doubt that, you decide to do things on your own. You decide to move on your own. And so therefore, with doubt, it doesn't leave any room for God at all. None. You've actually X'd him out of the equation when doubt comes into play. Because him and doubt, they can't coexist in the same space. So you can't say, I'm a child of God and I do everything, and then you doubt every move, every thought, every decision. Can't do it. Because you can't say in one moment, I trust God, and then the other moment, it's like, well, I don't know. Did he really say that? And guys, when you see me make the expressions, I do that. Like, I literally do that sometimes. When I used to doubt, I'd be like, really? Or someone says something to me and I'm just looking at them like, are you sure? You talking to me? So I had to stop doubting myself, because in doubting myself, I was doubting what God had done, is doing, and planning to do. When you doubt yourself, you doubt everything that God has done, because you fail to realize that we are made in his image. He breathed the breath of life into us. He didn't just speak us into existence. So when we doubt ourselves, we doubt God. And I know he can deliver. I know he is a waymaker. I know that he makes things happen unlike anything else. So therefore, they cannot coexist. So you have to stop doubting yourself. And the third internal voice is insecurity. I was the queen of insecurity. I was the queen of it. Queen. Oh my gosh. Basically, insecurity, let me explain what insecurity really is. It's an internal perception that questions your value. It's even worse than doubt. Because, see, now it's not about you doubting that you have it. You don't even feel that you're valuable enough to even be in the same space that exhibits it. So if he's called you to sing, or if he's called you to preach, or he's called you to lead a group of people, you don't even see the value in yourself to do so. That's worse. I mean, all of them are bad. Don't get me wrong. This is my rating. My rating. Insecurity is the worst because it robs you of everything. Because for me, sometimes, at least when I doubted something, it may not have lasted long. I might not have, been thought of my ability was, fully up to par. But when you're insecure, you don't even think you're valuable to even be in the space that you exhibit, the space that you take up. Because basically what happens when you say, well, I'm not good enough, I'm not pretty enough, I don't sing well enough, I can't read the word well, I can't preach like those deacons used to preach, so I just can't get up there and do that. I can't pray those long prayers, or I can't do that. So once you start putting stock into that and giving it life, you've just crippled yourself. Now, you think God wasn't in the mix when you had doubt? He really ain't in the mix when insecurity's there. Because even though he is telling you, I love you, you're chosen, you're my child, I want you, I love you, your purpose, you're here for a reason, insecurity doesn't even allow you to hear that. All you hear is wonk, 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 wonk. Who saw Charlie Brown? All of us saw Charlie Brown. I know I'm aging myself. And you know how the teachers would call or the parents would call. And basically, you know how sometimes us as children, our parents be talking to us and all we hear is wonk, 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 wonk. That's all you hear when God is trying to talk to you, to try to get you to snap out of that craziness, because you have just put yourself in a tizzy to the point where you believe nothing. You just feel that you're worthless and you don't even understand why you exist. And that leads down to a very scary, slippery slope of things. So therefore, you cannot allow insecurity to rob you of who you are in Christ. And for those who have insecurity, I'm going to share some tips. Sometimes it's called a therapist. Because let me help you understand something. As a child who was abused physically and sexually, you have to have somebody that you can talk to that their only primary goal and focus is to help you get to the best you. They don't know no family members. They don't know your friends in them, your cousins in them, the pastor up the street. Their primary focus is to get you onto a path of healing. And sometimes you have to speak to a therapist. I mean, God gave him the talent. God gave him the gift. Your pastor is for your spiritual uplifting, your spiritual training. And I love people, and I know people are going to get mad, and I know I'm going to see people in my inbox, so come on, bring it. And I said before, your pastor cannot be your psychotherapist. Your pastor is led to shepherd and lead you spiritually. Trust me, my pastor and my psychotherapist works hand in hand. Love them dearly. Because I don't go to my pastor when I'm about to have a daggone asthma attack talking about I need to talk to my pastor. Do you see what I mean? We have to stop, sometimes saying that we can't do this because of whatever. God has placed people on this earth with the gifts and the talents that they have, so that they all work together so that we are complete and whole human beings. And these things have had to be in place because many of us, and many of you listening currently on the replay, have gone through some things and trials in your life that I may not can understand. Your girlfriend can't understand, but God has given somebody the skill set and he is covering them. You have to understand, when you're talking with someone and, pouring into them and then pouring into you, there has to be a covering so that you can have, an outlet to breathe. So if you're suffering from the insecurity and the fear and the doubt, and you've had trauma, you have to seek out that help because you need help with it. Again, God equips us and gives us everything that we need to get help, to get to the next level, to get to building out our purposes. Sometimes we go through things in life so that the people that we're trying to reach, the people that we're going to, can see that I went through that and I'm going to be okay. Oh my goodness, I didn't think somebody could ever come out of that. I went through that and I thought that I was forever doomed to be there. See, many of us have to understand that how we come out, what we do, how we live, people are watching every single day. They're watching the ups and the downs, the struggles. And you're giving them hope and you're giving them inspiration. And they're saying, you know what, I can go on another day because I saw that she went through it and she's making it. She may have had a bad day yesterday, but she's still here today, pushing on and persevering and doing the things that God wants her to do and him to do. So we have to stop being, just in this angle and in this thing based on what we think we should do. And so let me just do a quick recap of our distractions, our external distractions. The first one is the world and our culture. Just understand that they have been going on since the beginning of time. They're not going anywhere. The unfortunate thing is that they just get bigger and bigger as time goes forward. In those world and culture distractions, you have desire, self-promotion, and comparison. The second external distraction is people. And how they distract us is through peer pressure and by hurt. That's what they do. And so you got to understand, people don't plan to hurt you. Life happens, things happen, and sometimes they don't even realize they hurt you. So you have to not allow them to just take up that kind of space where you just walk away from everything that God has you to do. And the final external distraction, as always, is the enemy. The little grimy little creature that I have a strong dislike for, and everybody knows that I do, and I'm going to keep having that dislike for him. But we always have to stay on alert as to what his things is, what his goals are. Know that he loves what he does, and he's going to do it 24/7, 365 without any break. He loves it. So today we discussed and learned about the distractions and the voices that are distracting us from God's voice. And once we understand what those are, again, journal. I will always say that. Get a single subject notebook, dollar store. Hey, the kids are going back to school. You can go to Walmart and get a stack of those composition books. Wait a minute, I got one. I'm going to show you. Watch. Remember these? Remember these? So you can get those by the case or whatever. when you are encountering these distractions or, these voices, journal them out, write it out, talk to God about it and be in a quiet space. Write the scriptures he tells you, go to where he tells you, write down what he pours into you. Because you have to know what you're combating. Now, what we're going to do tomorrow is we are going to discuss the things of how you can actually tune those out, the things that you do to tune out these distractions, because it can be done. So now that we know what they are, so there's 6 general ones. Now that we know what they are, how they can come, identify just in your day-to-day, how is this affecting my walk with God? How is this distracting me from what God has me to do? Has this put me in a comfort zone? Have I become complacent? Am I okay with the status quo? And see, if you find that you answer yes to any of these, if you find that you're battling any of these, things, do not beat yourself up. I don't think I can say that enough. Don't beat yourself up. It's going to be okay. And that is what his word is for you to seek it and study it and meditate on it and to build your relationship with him so that when he is calling you, you know without a shadow of a doubt that it is absolutely him. Absolutely him. Absolutely him. So I want to thank you for joining us this evening for Here I Am, Responding When God Calls. Distractions. If you are not a part of our group on Facebook, you can find the group at Y as in yellow, V as in Victor, Daily Devotionals. And come on and join the group. We have the bonus content. You can see all the replays or even on my page. So definitely come and join us. If you have any prayer requests, any praise reports, definitely let us know. Myself and Minister Peterson are always seeking God for you and keeping y'all before prayer. Sister Marilyn, we saw that you got a great report from your doctor. So we are definitely still continuing to keep you in prayer in reference to that. So we're so happy that, things are turning better. So definitely keep us abreast as to, how that is moving forward. Again, we'll be here tomorrow at 8 p.m., same location, and we'll be discussing tomorrow how to drown out those distractions. So I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Be blessed. You have a wonderful, wonderful evening, and I will see you tomorrow at 8 p.m. Good night.